All right, hello everyone. I just wanted to quickly introduce hi Nadia, quickly introduce our guest speaker for today. She's Olivia. She's going to talk about her experience as an RD and just what she talks about in her RD life. We will also, at the end, have questions for Olivia and also just for a little bit of housekeeping for NSN. We are offering a lot of current volunteer opportunities. We do need, you do require about 100 hours of community service for a cord with NSN, and we will send out a sheet just so you can log all of your hours and send it over to the volunteer coordinator by the end of the semester to get a cord. So if you have any questions with that, I'll be sending an email about that very soon. So yes, without further ado, we're going to hear from Olivia.
Hello. Yes, my name is Olivia, and I'm just going to present on how I came to be a registered dietitian and what my type of dietitian career, I guess you would say, looks like. Um, yeah. So again, my name is Olivia Clements. I am a registered dietitian. I acknowledge myself as a non-diet dietitian. I have my own private practice, and my mission is to support women to make peace with their body, find food freedom, and to become empowered in who they are, so that they can achieve sustainable health. And my kind of like motto or like short snippet thing is correct helping them to create a simple and feel good relationship with food. So, just a little background of who I am and how I came to be, I guess you would say. So, to start off, let's just do a little 5 funs about me. I am a small town girl through and through. Big cities give me anxiety. So, we live in a very rural area. It's a very small county. Everyone knows everyone. We don't even have a stoplight in our town. Um, my little family of three, we live on a family farm. We have beef cattle. We raise chickens. So we did raise chickens for Tyson, so Tyson Chicken Company. We are in the transition of, we're in the process of transitioning to a different chicken company. So anyways, yes. So we have beef cattle, we have chicken, we do all the things farming. But yeah, so I'm a small town girl through and through. I live in Tennessee, and I live about 2.5 hours southeast of Nashville. Um, so I'm recovered from an eating disorder, and that is where it truly fuels my passion in helping other women. My private practice, I do not work with clients with active eating disorders, but more towards disordered eating. There's a fine line between those two. Um, but with the women that I work with specifically, like they are aware of what is happening. They are aware of their thoughts. They're aware of their behaviors and their actions, and they're ready to make a change. Um, the third thing, fun fact about me is I'm a morning person through and through. I can wake up at 5 a.m. no problem. But if you tell me to stay up past 9, there's a problem. I cannot. So I'm absolutely a morning person. I get things done in the morning. Fourth, I am a cleaning and organizing fanatic. Like that is my jam. I love to clean. My family thinks I'm crazy, but I can't help it. And then a fifth fun thing is you will always find Bluebell ice cream in my freezer. Like always, there's not a day that there's not ice cream in my freezer. So my schooling, I attended Tennessee Tech University. It's about 45 minutes away from where I live. And I was a commuter, so I drove every single day to and from school. And that is where I received my 4-year bachelor degree. And then I graduated from there in human ecology, a Bachelor of Science in Dietetics. And from there, when you're a senior, and many of you may be through the process right now, but I also know things are kind of changing in the atmosphere of dietetics, as far as you having to receive your master's, or I know, like me and Blake was talking, that they're combining master's and the dietetic internship together. But at that time, when I was a senior, of course, we had to apply to dietetic programs. Um, and they are very competitive, and the application process is like it's wild, it's a lot, it's overwhelming. um so I did apply. I did not personally get matched first round. And I was devastated, because you do all of this work, you do all of this schooling, you do all this applying and getting everything together, and you think, okay, this is my next step. I just need to get matched. And then after that match date, when it was like, sorry, you did not match with anyone, I didn't know what to do. So that was about a month there, right before I graduated. With my bachelor's of, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And so about a month after not getting matched, at the time I didn't know really that there was going to be a second match date. And so I was trying to learn all of these things, because I didn't know really. And so there was a second match date, and let me think how this went. That's when I got matched, I guess you would say. So something else I didn't know or was aware of was something that's called a distance dietetic program, where this works that you're with a university, but you kind of make up your own type of internship. Yes, you have structure. Like I got accepted to Marshall University distance dietetic program. And their structure is you have to work in 4 different areas. So clinical, community, school, and then food service. But under those 4 things, you control everything else. You control where you're going, um, how long you're going to be there, and all these things. So it is a lot of work up front. But again, it was perfect for me, because I am a small town girl. I didn't want to move away. I'm married, and I was married at the time, and I did not want to move away from my husband, or even spend, through the week away from him and then travel on the weekends. Like I just didn't want to do that. So this was actually pretty perfect for my scenario. And so I did get accepted to this distance dietetic program, and I created my own internship. Um, and then during my internship, I also did grad courses. So I was doing that at the same time. And then during this is when COVID hit. And so it was wild, because then I had to restructure everything and my whole schedule, where it was all going to be finished on the computer. So, anyways, in a short kind of come about, I received my bachelor's from Tennessee Tech. And then I moved on and started Marshall University Distance Dietetic Program, where I designed my own internship and then also took grad courses. During this time, during my time at Tennessee Tech, when I was receiving my bachelor's degree, I was diagnosed with an eating disorder. Um, I had to go to a residential rehab treatment center in Florida in 2017. So the summer of 2017, I was in between semesters and I went to residential rehab. Um, and kind of how my eating disorder kind of came about. I'm not going to go into specifics. I'm not going to try and trigger anyone or talk specific numbers or anything like that. But coming coming from high school, and I feel like maybe some of you can resonate with this. Coming from high school, you don't transitioning from high school to college, you don't know what you're going to do with your life. You don't know what you want to be. You feel like all of these decisions have to be made, and it's like I don't even know who I am as a person and what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I'm like a type A perfectionist type of person, and so when I don't know what I'm doing next, I feel very chaotic. And so I was also very athletic in high school, and I didn't go and continue playing sports in college. And so going from very athletic to nothing, it was just like, I've got to do something with myself. So how my eating disorder kind of came about was I felt out of control. I felt like I didn't know what my life was gonna hold. And then I also was a runner. So I started running. And when I noticed my body changing, when I noticed that I could control maybe the food that was going into my body, and maybe I could control at the time what my body looked like, I felt in control then. But it spiraled out of control. So yeah, so I went to a residential rehab center in Florida. I spent about 6 weeks in residential, and then I transitioned out for a few weeks where I just kind of stayed in a Airbnb, I guess you would say, for a little bit longer down there, and then I came back home to Tennessee. I then spent some time living in a hotel so I could kind of not finish treatment, but get a few more weeks in. But then I was just like, I've got to go home. Like I can't stay in a hotel and and do this. So I, on my own terms, I ended the program and just came back home to family and sought support from them. Um, so then I kind of transitioned into what's called quasi or pseudo recovery. And with me being personalized, diagnosed with an eating disorder, this quasi pseudo recovery is sort of like disordered eating. And so this is where I kind of sort of start helping women. So maybe they weren't even diagnosed with eating disorders. So this can also be disordered eating for them. But for those who have been diagnosed, this is kind of what's called quasi or pseudo recovery, where again, you're aware of your thoughts, you're aware of your behaviors, and you're aware of your actions. And it's like you know what's going on, and it's not as bad, I guess you would say, as an eating disorder. So I kind of fell into that aspect between 2018 and 2019, where I was, still counting calories. I was trying all the diets to try and get quote unquote healthy. I was trying macros. I was trying low carb. Like I was trying all of these things, but yet nothing truly clicked. And then comes 2020 into 2021. And at this time, to kind of give you a way, I was wrapping up my internship. And this is where I truly found food freedom and truly considered myself fully recovered from my eating disorder, from my disordered eating. And I was out of that pseudo recovery. And this is where I found my inner intuitive eater. Um, let's see. And so after finishing the dietetic internship, I spent the end of 2020 into 2021 taking the RD exam. This exam is brutal. I'm not going to lie. It is hard. And even though you've done all of this school and you are very capable of passing this exam, it is still hard. And I'm a person, I'm real, I'm open. Um, and I just tell people how it is. I don't care. I'm an open book when it comes to things. I took the exam 5 times. 5 times. It took me 5 times to take it and pass it. Um, and the first 4 times, like I was just like, is this even for me? Like, why am I continuing to take this exam over and over again and still not passing it? And I knew in my heart I was meant to be a dietitian. I knew that I have a passion to do something in this field, and that kept me driving to take the exam. And so I just kind of want to let you know, if you are going to pursue the path of becoming a registered dietitian, when you get to the point of taking the exam and maybe you fail the first time, it is okay. And you are not a failure. You know this stuff. Just this exam is just really hard. Um, and so I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Um, what was I going to say? I don't know. I'm so sorry, guys. So yeah. Um, anyways, I took the exam 5 times. Oh, this is what I was going to say. I'm so sorry. Uh, even though it took me 5 times to pass the exam, I still know my stuff. Like, I still know nutrition. Like that. Like, once you pass and you apply for jobs and things, their first question, or if you start working with clients one on one, or you want to open up your own private practice, like when I start working with clients, their very first question to me is not, how many times did it take you to pass the RD exam? Like, they don't care. It's fine. So, leaving it at that. After passing the exam, I went into clinical very short after, like within a few weeks of passing, I took on my first clinical job. And I did clinical work through my internship. I think I worked at a very small community hospital for about 4 months. And I really did enjoy working at that particular hospital. But I knew even then clinical was not going to be like my full-time gig. Like, I could see myself 2, 3, tops 5 years. Um, so I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna, work clinical for a little while, and I'll just see where time takes me. The hospital that I got hired on, it took me 3 months to realize this is not for me. Like, I despised it. And I know going through school, clinical is really pushed to dietitians. It was for me, and through my schooling, like clinical was the only thing that we ever talked about far as a career in dietetics. And that's why I'm kind of here today. Clinical is not the only path that you have to take as a dietitian. So yeah, it took me 3 months being in clinical, being at a bigger type of hospital, to realize this is not for me. And this is kind of privileged on my side. So I was able to just quit without having a backup plan. So financially, me and my husband, we are in good standing. And so he was like, Olivia, you have put in so much work for the past 6 years. Let's take a break. Let's take a break and just for you to breathe. And at this time, also, I was pregnant, and we wanted to redo the house. And so he was like, let's just, you quit and let's just redo the house and you focus on it. So I became like a home reno person, and I got to express my little creativity in redoing our house. And so I took a break for about 8 months, had my daughter, became a full time stay at home mom. And then during that time, I, I was like, I really asked myself, and my husband and I kind of sat down, and it was just like, why did you start becoming a dietitian? What's fueling you? What do you want to do? Like, you have a huge role. What do you want to do with it? And that is where I started my private practice and kind of how this whole thing came about. And so, Olivia Clements Nutrition LLC is just kind of the name of it. Of course, I have a different like Instagram, like social media handle type thing to kind of keep it cute and creative and type things like that. But that's like the I don't know the words I'm trying to think of. Anyways, um, so getting started with a private practice. When I decided that I wanted to pursue this private practice area, I had no idea what I was doing because, again, we're not taught this in school. We're taught go to a hospital, go to a long term care, go to a clinical setting, and that is the path that you need to take, at least for 2 years. So I had no idea what to do. So I sought out social media because I saw these other dietitians owning their own private practice and working with clients and creating their own type of programs. And it's just like, I want to do that. So, how do I do that? I hired a business coach. It was a 4-month program. Uh, I'm going to take a big breath here. I invested a lot of money in a business coach. Yes, I feel like you need to invest in yourself to grow and to expand and to learn even more. But if you are serious about opening up your private practice, if you are serious about taking this route of when you are a dietitian or maybe whatever career path you want to go into, it's not just a dietitian. Like there's many other people that creates their own private practice in different ways. Um, when hiring a coach, really, really, really pay attention and understand all the details and what you are truly getting and going to receive from them. Again, I invested a large sum of money into this program, and coming out of it, it was beneficial. I learned a lot, yes, but I don't. It wasn't worth the money. Looking at it now, it's took me 8 to 9 more months to feel comfortable enough to hire someone else to help me. So just be cautious and be aware. If you want more details on this, I'm not going to mention any names here or who I hired or anything like that. But if you are serious and you want to know a little bit more of this area of hiring on someone, feel free to message me privately and I'll share. I don't care a bit. Um, mm, be realistic. I don't know why I put realistic. I can't remember. Uh, let's see. Oh, okay. So again, I kind of I have the privilege of I can do this full time. Like I can put all of my energy and time into this full time. Whereas someone else may not. So I know a lot of my friends who are dietitians, they also work full-time jobs while also running their private practice and their business. So it's just kind of being realistic with yourself, what you have going on with your life. Um, and two, part of opening or doing this private practice, especially showing up on social media, it's this niching down. So it's getting specific on who you want to work with, what area do you want to work in. And so I kind of fall under the food freedom, intuitive eating type space, but there's also, weight loss if that's your cup of tea. You can work with diabetes, you can work kidney disease, PCOS, all these areas. And so it's specifying what you want to help with. What area do you want to work with? Who do you want to help? And that's kind of when you hire a business coach, you kind of go through this process of really niching down on who you're serving and all of these things. Um, I would suggest, start very, very small. Start maybe, just just posting regularly on social media. And then maybe starting small, such as working only, one-on-one with clients. And then build yourself up into like group programs or memberships or all these things. Like your business can really, really grow. But it's just crucial to kind of start small because you don't want to burn yourself out. And then to highlight here that social media is just a piece of what your private practice can hold. Like you can work within your community, you can work with surrounding counties. Like social media is not your only piece, I guess, as a business in a whole. So my philosophy and how I work with clients and what I kind of work my clients through is what's called intuitive eating. Has anyone heard of intuitive eating? Yeah. So I know before we started here, me and Blake were talking, and um, she said that in classes now, intuitive eating is kind of being brought up. It's not, a full class discussion, but it is brought up. It is becoming more aware, especially on social media and just in culture today. So here's the book. If you've not read the book, I highly suggest just reading it, even though you may not feel aligned to it. You may just not like what it has to offer, but it's just nice knowing that it's there and it is a way also. So intuitive eating, just kind of want to talk about it. Let me move this right here. So intuitive eating is an evidence-based mind-body health approach, and it's creating a positive relationship with food, with physical activity, and with yourself. With intuitive eating, there are 10 principles, and they work by either cultivating or removing obstacles to body awareness. And this body awareness is known as something interoceptive awareness. And so we as humans, we are able to feel our heartbeat. We are able to detect when we need to go use the restroom. So you also have this awareness of knowing when you are hungry and when you are full. But there may be some obstacles standing in your way. We'll kind of go through those too. But this intuitive eating was established by two registered dietitians in the early 90s. And so this book was written in the 90s, and it is just now being really, really brought about and talked about. So it's took time. And I wished I found it sooner, but that's here nor there. This is a weight neutral model with 200 plus evidence based studies validating this approach to health. And essentially, intuitive eating is honoring your health by listening and responding to your body in order to meet both physical and psychological needs. So some benefits of intuitive eating, you can detect and honor your hunger. You know what foods you like and what foods you dislike. You have less feelings of guilt surrounding foods. Food is no longer a moral issue, so you don't view food as good or as bad. So a slice of pizza compared to a salad, neither one is good, neither one is bad. They're just foods and they play differently within the body. Food tastes better. You're able to notice how food makes you feel within your body. You build a better relationship with exercise. You're able to keep trigger foods in the house. And so when I work with clients, when I work with women, these trigger foods, maybe something like Oreos, or maybe something like pasta, or let's see, it's normally like sweets, so like ice cream or something like that. Like you feel you cannot keep these foods in the house, because if you do, you're going to eat it all in one sitting, and it's just you feel out of control with these foods. So your first instinct thought is, we'll get these foods away from me. I can't keep them in the house. And so going through this process, you're able to remove those foods off the pedestal and just view them as neutral and know that you can't keep them in the house. You're able to come from a place of curiosity and not judgment. So you're removing that judgment piece from yourself and from the food, and you're just viewing it out of curiosity. So you're nicer to yourself, and your mood enhances. And altogether, you eat more mindfully. A little bit more benefits of intuitive eating is, better cholesterol levels. You have a higher HDL and a lower LDL. Decreases levels of stress. Improved metabolism. You have better energy, better mental health, decreased eating disorder and or disordered eating occurrences. And something I want to highlight here is if you have an active eating disorder, you cannot actively bring about your intuitive eating, because with eating disorders, you are out of your body kind of. You're not very aware of your hunger and your fullness, and you need structure. And so I just wanted to kind of highlight there, if you have an active eating disorder, intuitive eating may not work for you at the moment, but that doesn't mean intuitive eating can't work for you later on. You need some structure at first. You have better body awareness, you have enhanced self-esteem, and you have increased happiness. So with your brain, and this is how intuitive eating is in a nutshell. So your brain, you have there's three parts. You have your reptilian brain, which is your instinct. You have your limbic part of the brain, which holds your emotions and your feelings. And then you have your rationale part of the brain, which encompasses both the reptilian and limbic, and then forms your thoughts and your decision making. So again, intuitive eating encompasses all three parts of your brain to make food, body, movement decisions. So the 10 principles, just roughly going to go through them here. Of course, the book goes fully in depth with each principle. Number one is ditching diets and the dieting mentality. So saying goodbye to fad diets, counting calories, your tracking apps, and thinking that diets are the answer to your health. Principle number two is honoring your hunger. So feeding your biological hunger. And we actually have 4 types of hunger. There's biological hunger, so your physical hunger, but there's also taste hunger, emotional hunger. So I work with many clients who experience emotional eating, always eating out of their emotions, no matter what emotion it may be. Happy, sad, stressed, all of these things, they always seek out food. And so how I help clients is keeping food there, because emotional hunger is a thing. And you can use food to cope with whatever emotion you may be having, but let's not make it your only coping skill. Let's use others. Let's bring others in. And then the 4th type of hunger, let's say we've done biological, taste, emotional, and practical hunger. So practical hunger isn't even hunger in and of itself. It's just preparing yourself for future hunger. The third principle is making peace with food. So giving yourself unconditional permission to eat all foods. And if you are a person who diets, if you are a person who has many food rules, this can be hard because you feel like you're out of control. If I give myself unconditional permission to eat Oreos, or chips or anything like that, I can imagine just stopping, So it's going through that process of I'm allowed to eat these foods. And then the 4th principle is challenging the food police. And these are these thoughts that come up into your brain. And it's working through these food rules that you may have, challenging your thoughts and beliefs about food, what you've been conditioned to believe. So these thoughts may be, oh, this food is bad, this food, I have to limit the amount of carbs I eat. I have to stop eating at 7 o'clock at night. I can't eat past 7. It's just working out all these rules that you have surrounding food. The fifth principle is feeling your fullness. It's listening to your body's signal that it no longer needs food. And this is hard for a lot of people. Maybe they grew up in a household of clean your plate. Maybe their parents told them you have to eat everything that's on your plate because of whatever. So yeah, it's honoring and listening to your body's fullness and knowing when it's physically and mentally satisfied. The sixth principle is discovering satisfaction, and this is the driver of your food decisions. Finding pleasure in your eating experiences. Like food is meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be pleasurable and satisfying. Yet in the culture that we live today in society, we feel like we can't enjoy food. Like we shouldn't enjoy the foods that we do have. Like if we go out and we want to enjoy a donut, it's like kind of feeling guilty, like we shouldn't enjoy the donut because it's not healthy. So discovering satisfaction is the sixth principle. Seventh principle is where emotional eating kind of comes about. And so it's working through this principle, coping with your emotions without using food, and it's building your self-care toolbox. So building in other coping skills to deal with those emotions. Principle number 8 is respecting your body. Taking care of your now body, stepping away from always trying to change it. So stepping away from losing weight. And this is hard because we feel like health is a skinnier version of yourself. And that's not necessarily true. Principle number 9 is movement. So feeling the difference, moving with your body moving your body because you enjoy it and you want to take care of your health and not punish it. So it's not using exercise or using movement, is what I like to call it, as punishment. So, running off whatever you ate the night before, or making sure you're wearing that watch and, oh, I have to work out for 90 minutes. No, it's being just with your body and knowing when you want to continue pushing yourself or when you want to rest and give yourself a break. And then the 10th and final principle is gentle nutrition. And this is where, of course, my registered dietitian hat comes in. And I love helping people with gentle nutrition. And it's making food decisions out of self-care and not self-control. And so, I kind of wanted to highlight here too. When you hear, you want to ditch diets or ditch that dieting mentality, and when we say diets, you can be on a diet and you cannot be on a diet but still dieting. And what this may look like is, I'm on a diet, so maybe you are on a physical diet, like Whole30, Weight Watchers, paleo, vegan, macro counting. Maybe you're not eating sugar, low carb, keto. So those aren't fad diets, those are physical diets that you can be on. Here on the other side, maybe you're not physically on a diet, but you view food as good or bad. You don't eat past 7. You try not eating too many carbs. If you've eaten too much, you restrict later. If you are planning on going out, you intentionally eat less throughout the day. You disregard hunger cues. So maybe you are hungry at 10 o'clock in the morning, but it's like, it's not time to be hungry. I'm just going to push off this hunger until it's time. Or it can look other ways too. So disregarding hunger cues, or maybe you are overeating. So you are aware that I'm full physically and mentally, but I'm going to continue eating anyhow. Or maybe you are experiencing binge eating, where it's this out of body type of sensation, and you're out of control, really and truly. So, some intuitive eating myths and facts that I really want to discuss is myth number one: intuitive eating is just eating whatever, whenever. Um, that is a myth. So, fact is you will go through, or clients, or if you want to go on this path of intuitive eating, you will go through this honeymoon phase, where when you start introducing like this unconditional permission to eat, where food is so exciting and enticing, and it's like you've restricted, I'm just going to say Oreos again, just to keep it going. But it's like, oh, I can have these Oreos all the time. Yes, you can, but you'll find that going through this honeymoon phase, just like in a relationship, it's love at first sight, or love, you still love them, but it kind of loses its momentum, I guess you would say. So you will go through this honeymoon phase with food. But after knowing and acknowledging that that food can always be there, it loses its momentum, I guess you would say. And then you're able to start focusing on foods that make you feel good. Myth number two is intuitive eating is only eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full. This is a diet. That is still the dieting mentality happening. And so we have to work through that type of mentality, because if you're not careful, you can turn intuitive eating into just another diet. And that is not intuitive eating at all. So fact is, again, there's 4 types of hunger, and working through that diet mentality. Yes, there are principles for honoring your hunger and feeling your fullness, but that's just 2 principles of the whole intuitive eating. So there's 8 more principles, and sometimes we're humans. We make mistakes, not mistakes. I don't want to say mistakes, but sometimes we just miss the mark. Like, we're gonna overeat sometimes. We're gonna eat past comfortable fullness sometimes, and that's okay. And so just working through that. Myth number 3 is intuitive eating is a weight loss program. Fact, intuitive eating is weight neutral, and it doesn't focus on weight loss, but rather on health behaviors. So we're not in total control of our weight. And so the way I help with clients is, you can keep this desire of weight loss within you, but can we put it on the back burner for a little bit? How long have you focused on weight loss, and where has that brought you? Has it brought you to having a poor relationship with food? And if it has, let's kind of push it to the side for a little bit, and let's focus on other things. And other things, health behaviors, such as, if you are wanting to eat more vegetables, if you're wanting to exercise more, if you're wanting to drink more water, if you're wanting to go to bed earlier, you can do all of these things without losing weight, without having to step on the scale and let that number affect your behaviors. So it's a whole mindset shift. But yeah, so altogether, intuitive eating isn't a weight loss program. And so if you see someone online, or if you see whatever on social media, saying that they're promoting intuitive eating, and it's like, oh, you can lose weight with intuitive eating, all of these things, and they're really pushing that weight loss, they're not really and truly practicing intuitive eating. So take that with a grain of salt. And something that I also want to highlight here too, with intuitive eating, 3 things can happen with weight. So you can lose weight, you can. That's not the focus though. You can also gain weight. or you can maintain your weight. It just depends on what your relationship with food looks like. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of end it there because I could, I guess, talk for a whole nother hour about this. Myth number 4, if you have a medical condition, you cannot follow intuitive eating. Fact, intuitive eating and MNT can go hand in hand. And this is really where that gentle nutrition comes into play. And so I know many dietitians that may work in the diabetes area who also practice intuitive eating and works with clients on bringing intuitive eating about for them, but while also having type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes or something like that. So it can work, it can flow. So kind of just wrapping things up, my simplified method. So I do not, I guess you would say, when I work with clients, walk them through each and every principle. I wanted to create my own type of way. And this is kind of how I work, or how I walk my clients through to build a better positive relationship with food. And so my first step, I have my 4-step simplified method. First step is foundation. And so this is where that physical restriction will end with structure. You'll dive deep into your personal values and your why you even want a better relationship with food, why you're even seeking food freedom. And then that way you can reconnect with your body instead of fighting against it. Really and truly, your journey begins here with your mindset. And as you could probably tell, you have to do a lot of mindset work and inner work before you can get to the nutrition aspect of it. And so here, I'll really work through, I'll really show you how to transform the way you think about food. So it's, because it's a process. These thoughts that you have, they're so engraved into you, and it's like you have the thought and you have to act on it. So yeah, so the second step is releasing or release. Your mental restriction ends here with structure, and so this is where you're breaking those food rules. You're breaking up with that food police, that inner food police that you have in your brain. I'll give you a step-by-step process on how to release all of your food rules for good. And this is where that guilt and that shame will no longer be a part of your life. And then we also work through your feelings and emotions. So especially emotional eating, that's really where this is released, and we build from that. Third phase is finally getting into that nutrition aspect. Nutrition, we talk about it all throughout the program, but it's really highlighted here. And so bringing it all together, you're rediscovering the joy food can bring into your life by reconnecting with your body and focusing on how food makes you feel. You're in control and not the food, and I'll help to navigate you through nutrition to make it simple and easy to understand, and so that you can be your real and empowered self. And then the fourth one is just kind of bringing it all together again, embracing. So you're embracing your new and realigned life of freedom with habits leading you to sustainable health. And then bonus, we also talk about body image, what body image is and isn't, because body image is crucial in your relationship to food. Because your behaviors around food, really and truly underneath, it's you wanting to do something about your looks, about your body. And so body image really isn't what's shown physically. It's more of what you think about your body. And so we dive into that, and then we also talk about physical activity, or again, like what I like to call it is movement, because it's removing that rigidness from it. So learning on how to move your body in ways that feel good. Okay, and then I just and from here, that's it. I didn't leave a lot of time. I spoke more than what I thought I was going to speak. But yeah, if you have any questions, or if you just want to have an open discussion, I'm here for it.
So I actually do have a question.
Yeah.
So when you talked about the benefits, can we go back to that slide of the benefits of intuitive eating?
This one or this one?
Yeah, that one. I thought it was interesting how you highlighted the better cholesterol levels. Um, like, what are the reasons behind this? Is it because people who intuitively eat, do they have, more, are they more prone to consume, vegetables, fiber? Is that why?
Yeah. Um, so it's kind of like reverse psychology, I guess you would say. At first, you feel like you're gonna eat all of these, and I'm gonna use these words. I don't like using these words, but it just really brings it about. Like you'll understand. So, like at first, you feel like you're gonna eat nothing but unhealthy foods, and at first you may. But once you reconnect to your body, those unhealthy foods all the time doesn't make you feel physically, mentally, and emotionally good. And so you'll be more apt to picking foods out that do make you feel good. And two, with gentle nutrition and with that feel good phase of my program, nutrition is very individualized. And so I take into account, if a client comes to me and maybe they do have off cholesterol levels, maybe they have a family history of high cholesterol levels or whatever it may be, taking care of their health is paying attention to the foods that can help with cholesterol. Like that is a part of health. We're not dismissing health, your health, with intuitive eating. Again, it's very individualized. So yeah, like you said, you highlight the foods that do make you feel good, and do help towards that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah,
Does anyone else have any questions?
I have a question.
yeah.
So, that was really interesting. Thank you. Um, it seems like a lot of what you do is more counseling, psychology, motivating, and less on nutrition. So, I'm wondering if most of your expertise in this area came from your education or your own self-teaching and your own personal experiences with this.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, you are very correct. Like I said, nutrition is touched on all throughout my program, and at the very end is when nutrition's really brought about. But yeah, I've took how I built this or how I created mine is using my own personal and professional experiences. Um, and self-help books, I guess you would say. But yeah, I mean, our relationship to food is really our relationship to ourselves. And so you you really have to identify, I guess, who you are and how you want to show up for yourself, and then that plays out with your food. So yeah, I mean, I am a dietitian, and I'm not um a therapist. I'm not anything like that. Like I stay in my area. But yeah, it is a lot of underlining work at first. But we do talk about nutrition. It's just getting through those first steps. Do we have any other questions?
Hi, yes, I do have one. Can you hear
Yeah.
me? Hi, I'm Callie. Thank you for one doing this presentation. And I was wondering for like the RD exam, like what's your best study advice? Because I'm an audio learner, and so reading is like it's repetitive for me, and I have to read. And I feel like there has to be like a better way to like ingest knowledge when it comes to this type of exam, because a lot of people that I have talked to about this exam, they're like, I've taken it 3 times, or I've taken it 5 times, and I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm gonna be taking this test repeatedly, and I'm trying to find the best way to study for it.
Did, Sorry, I was very. Did you say study for the RD exam?
Yes.
Okay,
What is the best way to study for it?
gotcha. Okay, so I used the Gene Inman book. I just used the book itself. I did not purchase the audio version of it, I guess you could say. I also invested in a coach, or not a coach, but like a teacher. I don't know what you would want to call it. So I use that. She is love her. Kimberly, I think Crane. I don't know if it's Kramer. It's RD exam. I'll send Blake the information who I used, and then she can share with you. But she has multiple courses, and she like makes it super easy and a way for you to remember things. And so I really enjoyed her classes, and I think from when I start, because when I started studying for my exam is when she kind of started her business on that. And so I know now she has really grown. So I'm not sure how she works with people now. It may be like a program that you have to go through. But yeah, so I used Jean Emmett, I used her, and then I think I just used whatever free type of study materials I could find online. Um, and I just studied myself, by myself, I guess you would say. Lots of note cards, lots of quizzes, lots of like practice tests, and things such as that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Was there a chat?
Yeah, we just received a chat from Erica. Would you like me to read it to you, or can you see it?
Yeah, because I don't know where it is.
Okay, yeah, I can read it to you.
Okay.
Okay, so she said, oh, this was a very interesting presentation. Thank you. I've seen people on social media talk about all-in diets to help them understand their hunger cues again. Do you know about it all? Do you know about all-in dieting? If so, what do you think about it in comparison with IE, so intuitive eating?
Yeah, so I know there's a major creator that done the all-in method. The reason I don't really necessarily click with the all-in method of quitting diets and just going all ham on it is it is very chaotic. It is very overwhelming, and not a lot of people can do that. So as you kind of could tell, that I take clients step by step, and it's a very uh, slow type of process. Because just like with anything else, if you go all in on anything, you are going to get burnt out within a month, and you're not going to want to do it. And so if you've struggled with food, with your relationship to food for quite some time, it can be very hard and overwhelming, to kind of just give it all up and go all in. And all in would just be like eating all the foods without any structure, and just trying to do it all at once, regain your hunger and fullness cues, learn about nutrition, learn about how your body feels. Like it's just very overwhelming. And so, yeah, I just really like taking a step back. Let's do this slowly. And so that way it will lead you to sustainability.
I have a quick question. Hey,
Hey.
my name is Nadia, and I have, so I guess, a couple of different questions. So I know you were saying that that's kind of like the intuitive eating works for everybody, and there are no exclusion criteria, as we can say. With that being said, do you work with everybody, or do you, I mean, I guess, have people in your practice who don't have any medical complications?
Yeah. So I work with women. I work with people. I really enjoy working with people like 25 years and older. It's just kind of, I click better with them. But yeah, no, I've had clients who have a diagnosis of MS, who have a diagnosis of PCOS. And so again, it's very individualized, and we work on the nutrition aspects of those things too. And so that's kind of where intuitive eating and MNT work kind of go hand in hand. Again, it's going through the mindset first, and then kind of paying attention to nutrition. So yeah, I work with, I don't want to say all kinds of, like all people, because I don't work with all people. But yeah, I work with women, and if you have medical diagnoses, if you have certain conditions or anything, like, yeah, I can work through that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And just in general, so how long have you been having your private practice?
So it's coming up to about a year. And this is something that I want to highlight. I'm glad you said that, because I've missed this piece. Again, I'm very open and I'm very real with people. If you are considering opening your private practice and you want to use social media and you want to start building this, I'm not an overnight success. There are some people who are overnight successes that you could kind of say. I didn't have my first client within like 4 months. Like, I had 0 clients 4 months into this, and that was hard. But again, I know I'm very privileged. Like, my husband works hard. We're good financially standing. And so that's kind of where maybe having another job on the side could come in handy, because again, this is why also taking, being very particular about who you hire on as a business coach. Because I was told and I was made to believe that, oh, you'll have clients flying in the doors within days, within weeks of opening up your private practice. No. No. Maybe you can. I know people who have and have already made their success in their business. From my aspect, from how hard I am on myself, I've not personally hit success just yet, and I've been at this for a year. That is very short term. Like, I've only been at this for a year. Like, I have so much more room to grow and to expand and to learn even more. So if you are wanting to open up your private practice, if you are wanting to kind of take this route of after becoming a dietitian or whatever you want to do, it's okay if you don't have that overnight success. Like, just continue working. If you have this passion, if you have this mission that you want to drive out into the world, yeah, it'll keep you motivated. But yeah, just know that yeah, it takes time. It does.
No, I gotcha. I was just, I guess I was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
asking how long have you been having it?
Yeah. So I've been
and-
at it for about a year now.
Right. So when you were saying, like, you mentioned social media, but besides social media, what would you say are the main, I guess, means to attract clients with your practice?
Yeah. So I'm really into community, and so I do. This is social media, but I post on like my personal stuff. I have business cards. You could also promote like going to like local gyms, local like coffee shops, local doctors' offices, just getting your name out there. So yeah, that's kind of areas that you could hit on too. And then also, I know this is again online, but it's not particularly social media, but having a website.
Yeah.
So I'm in the process of kind of working through creating or building a website. So yeah, that's just some examples that you could do other than Instagram or TikTok or whatever.
Gotcha. And which ones are you finding, I guess, the most success with? Because I mean, so I have like my own thing that I do that is nothing to do with nutrition. It's just was something that I, did all the time. And I want to say that let's say when I post on Instagram, I have more people connecting to me, but they never end up showing up. But then I would have, I don't know, my like Google page when it would be much less people who connect to me, but those are the people for whatever reason who are actually, I guess, more interested and more motivated to go, even though the, I guess, structure of a message doesn't differ. But this is just something that I noticed for myself, that they would show up and the Instagram people don't show up. Don't know why, but just the fact. So I guess from what you have listed, which ones would you say you find most successful and get the most response?
Gotcha. Yeah. So as of right now, I only use Instagram and I use TikTok as far as the only two social media platforms. I enjoy TikTok a little bit better, but with TikTok, you cannot create that personal type of feeling with people. With Instagram, you can privately message one another and really build that trust factor with your audience or with your followers. And so that's kind of where I see most of my type of conversion over from followers to paying clients, is because of that. You almost feel like your family on Instagram. It's like, I know this person's type of style, type of like, what am I trying to say? Like personality, like kind of life on Instagram. And then again, you can get inside those private DMs just like you're texting a friend. And so, yeah, really, as far as social media goes, Instagram is more convertible, I guess you would say. But knowing that social media is ever flowing, and so Instagram may not always be there, and I think that's why it's important to at first you don't have to have a website, but I think as you continue to grow and expand, having a website, having your own space is crucial. And then also going into developing like email subscriptions, and so that way you're inside of their emails and you get to kind of control it and not a social media platform.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's really a lot of learning. Like, I am a dietitian, but with private practice, you have to learn the business side and then like marketing, and all of these other things. Like, it's a lot. It is. It's not just talking nutrition.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I think we should probably wrap it up. But thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared today. I love how real you got with us, because I feel like it is very common for people to, not pass the RD exam for the first time and then, struggle. I know people personally who have not passed for the first time and they felt like complete failures, and it's just not talked about a lot. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, and if you want to share like my social media platform name with everyone, and that way if they need to contact me with any personal questions or just kind of want to chat with me, you can totally do that. That is perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'll share that with everyone. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.